Basic Honda. While doing research and looking at reviews of used boats I want to buy, I've seen old threads of 2000 to 2010 center consoles being sold when they were less than 10 years old. The prices are about the same or even more now for those same boats being 20 years old. Blows my mind. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why this comment's in here, because that's kind of a statement that's built on pricing, and there's not much that you can say about that. It is pretty crazy. You see that in a lot of different industries where people bought you bought a house in 2019 for 300 grand, and now you want to sell it for $650,000. It's like, 5 years, the price of things have doubled. And so, like you said, you're looking at a boat that in 2010 sold for 100 grand, and now they want, in 2020, 10 years later, not 2020, but 2025, 15 years later, they want 200 grand for the boat. It's like, what? Yeah, it is pretty crazy, especially because you're adding 10, 15 years on a boat, and on a boat, that's a lot of time. When you start thinking about the mechanics, the wiring, the fuel tanks, the stringers, the transoms, like the construction of the boat, it can definitely get pricey to start replacing stuff. So yeah, I feel you on that one. Marcus says, never used a transom saver, never had an issue, 40 years boating. Well, I guess it all depends on what kind of boat you're running, how far you're running. I mean, are you trailering it all the time? Like, how often do you get to use this boat in 40 years? Transom savers do something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, depending on where you live, if you have to trailer your boat like an hour to get to the water, like, I guess what people need to understand is that stress on a transom is a real thing. You've got a transom, you got an outboard, you trim it up like this. And are we talking inboard, outboard too? That makes a difference too. But on outboards, you trim that up, you got all this weight on the back of the transom like this. On a trailer, there's no give. Your leaf springs are basically, absorbing anything from the road, but the boat and the outboard, like, there's no give there. When the boat's in the water, the entire boat is going in and out of the water. There is a massive cushion there that relieves a lot of the stress. So, and your engine is tucked down. It might be trimmed up a little bit, but there's not near the stress on the transom. But when you're going down the road with the boat on the trailer, that weight on your transom is sitting there bouncing it and flexing that transom. No give, full weight of the outboard. It does stress the transom. So if you put something from the trailer to the boat that takes the weight so that engine isn't being jammed down, it does save your transom. I mean, it's physics. So if you only have to go 5 miles to the ramp on a clean road and you only use your boat 4 months out of the year, so let's say you get to go every weekend, that 12 to 15 times a year, you're transporting 5 miles. Like, yeah, it's not going to be that big of a problem. But if you're driving down a dirt road with rock, gravel, like bouncing up and down potholes, and you got to drive 45 minutes to the ramp, and you get to do that 6 months out of the year, yeah, you can stress it. You're going to stress your transom for sure. So there's a lot of variables there, is what I'm going to say on that one. Brandon Powerstroke says, chart plotter was a game changer for me, especially when visiting down in the Keys. Yeah, chart plotters these days have gotten to the point where, I mean, honestly, if you don't have a chart plotter, it's kind of like, it depends on the fishing that you do. If you're in the river, and I mean, honestly though, with the sonar and the side view, down view, clear view, all the different things that you can see with your fishing, your fish finder, it's definitely a game changer. I don't know too many people that are out there, I mean, that aren't using chart plotters. I don't even know. Yeah, most people have chart plotters on their boat. Fish finders, yeah, if you finally get a chart plotter and then put it on, like, for sure, going to be a game changer. But now, I mean, they've gotten so precise that it's almost like cheating. You can see everything. So yeah, I think technology and the advancement definitely makes the enjoyment of the boat way more than it used to be. Mike Lowell, as a tech and a flats backwater fishing guy, my skiff has a bilge pump and a Simrad I use for gauges, safety, and that's it. People lose sight of what it's really about. Keeping it simple, almost always better. Last thing I want to do on my day off is go back to work. Yeah, I agree with you. especially in 2025 boating. If you look at new boats, you can't even, like, there's very, very few boats that don't have 10 switches on them to operate all kinds of different stuff from, I mean, everything. You've got your MFDs, your radios, your VHF, your, nav light, anchor light, bilge pumps, live wells, courtesy lights, spreader lights, T-top lights, your underwater lights. You've got all kinds of just different ACs, USB ports, misters to everything else, seats that move up and down, tables that move up and down, windlasses. Like, yeah, the boats are completely packed full of everything. And it does. The more stuff that you have, the more problems that you're going to have. There's more, with features comes effort and work and maintenance, more problems, more issues. So I like your idea. I'm still kind of like that too, Mike. I mean, I do like some amenities, like, obviously anchor light, nav light, you got to have that kind of stuff. But I like having a stereo, like having a good fish finder, good chart plotter. Power poles are nice depending on what I'm doing, because it's nice to pull up somewhere, hit the power pole and lock it. And then also trolling motors. Trolling motors are pretty sick because depending on what you're doing, if you can go to an inlet or something and then just lock yourself there, or run a drift on something. I do like that. That is pretty slick for me. So, but at the same time, like you said, if you just, all you got is your Simrad and a good bilge pump, and you're just, fishing flats by sight, then yeah, you're going to have a lot more enjoyable, because it's a lot easier for you to go and there's like nothing to do. You dunk the boat, go to your spot, and then like fish around with nothing. There's like no setup there. There's just very minimal. Makes things a lot more enjoyable too, because if you have a boat with all kinds of stuff and it's a big event to take the boat out, you're less likely to want to do it, because it's such an effort, from uncovering the boat to taking it to the ramp to dropping it in to getting to your spot to setting up with all your stuff, fishing, and then coming back, cleaning the boat, cleaning the fish, cleaning out everything else, pulling everything out, putting it all away, covering the boat. Like, you can get to the point where it's like you've got 4 hours of prep and tear down, 5 hours of prep and tear down, to 2-3 hours of enjoyment on the boat. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that you can get overboard with creating this massive mission to be able to use your boat and taking the enjoyment out of it. Long turbidity tracks. Doesn't your engine close the thermostats after 15 minutes or so? If you have twins, does it get the other motor evenly? I've been eyeballing this product for a while. I'm pretty sure we're talking about like a flushing attachment or something, but your thermostats are temperature related. So for one, outboards are completely separate. So like there is no combining of outboards. Like, well, I mean, when we're talking about the running of the engines, each engine runs on its own fuel supply, its own cooling systems, its own electronics. Like, for the most part, outboards are individual items. So for one, they're separate. They don't really affect each other one way or the other. Cooling systems, same thing. It's all in the engine, but your thermostats are done by temperature. So depending on the temperature of the water is what's going to make them either open or closed. There is no time factor to it. It is strictly a mechanical component that reacts based on temperature. Thermostats can be built differently, but think about them as a mechanical component that at, say, 143 degrees, they will open up, and then at 142 degrees, they will close. So they're pretty mechanical in that aspect. There is no time. There is nothing that makes them open. There is nothing that controls them outside of the temperature of the cooling water that is being ran around them. So it's just a little misunderstanding there, I think. Tonchito, how bad is trolling for bigger outboards like Yamaha F-150? Trolling's not bad for an engine. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it, and 150s to me aren't even like a bigger outboard. I mean, you see 600s and 450s, 150s are like awesome because they're small and very easy to work on. So it doesn't matter what the engine is. Trolling is not bad for the engine. What is bad for the engine is, one, if you didn't break it in properly and the rings don't seat properly, that's going to be bad. But trolling is, you're running at a lower RPM. Depending on the size of your boat, your trolling, it can vary. It can vary between 1500 RPM to 2,500 RPM, maybe even high-speed trolling, depending on your boat, could be 3,000 RPM. It really depends on your boat, your setup, and what you're trolling for. Are you high-speed trolling? You know, are you running 8 mile an hour? Are you running 12 mile an hour? Like, what are you trolling for? So trolling isn't bad for the engine. It's that if you're running, say, 2,200 RPM, then you have the potential to build carbon. And depending on how long you do that, it can cause you issues down the line over time with carbon buildup. So let's say to get to your fishing spot or where you troll, like let's say the Gulf Stream for you is 5 miles out and you only have to run, say, 6 miles to get to where you control around the depth, whatever. If you're only running, say, 5-6 miles, that's only going to take you at, say, 35-40 miles an hour. It's not going to take you long to get there. You know, you're 10-15 minutes and you're there fishing. And now you spend, say, 2 hours, 3 hours trolling at 2,200 RPM, only going back down to idle when you got a fish on and running around and stuff like that. The engine's not getting up to temperature and you're not burning off the carbon. If you just do that consistently, you're going to build up carbon, which will cause you issues. You know, it's building up on your valves, on the heads of the cylinder. You're messing with how clean the engine is running, basically. So that's what's bad. If you're going to troll a lot, one, you need to be running wide open throttle when you can, so that way you can get the engine temp up to burn that carbon off as it's fresh. And then two, run something like ring free, which is going to help clean that carbon off, which will get rid of that carbon buildup, which eliminates your issues. So realistically, no, it's not bad for the engine. And if you run a quick clean or a ring free, you're going to eliminate your problem, and then also try and run some wide open throttle to get your engine temp up. Hey there, sorry to take you away from the video, but real quick, did you know that on average a boat owner will spend between $1,000 and $5,000 a year just on servicing their engine? And you could actually pocket and save a lot of that money if you would just do the service yourself. It might seem like a daunting task, but I guarantee you virtually everyone can do it with our guidance and the Boaters program. This is just one skill that you could learn inside the program, because we have hundreds of other videos teaching you all kinds of boating skills, as well as a weekly live stream where we have questions and answers with me, as well as a chat feature where you can send videos and pictures, ask all kinds of questions, or look for some advice or some guidance on a project that you're doing on your boat. And we've made it super easy because you can start and stop the program at any time. So you could actually join, do a few videos, learn a few skills, and then when you're not using your boat, like say you have an off season, you can stop using the program, pause your membership, and then when you need to use it again, you can just start the membership back up and have instant access to all the content. You can join the program by hitting the first link in the description, clicking join, or visiting bornagainboating.com. Now back to the video.